Is this elder exploitation or love? We're gonna go inside the calculated mind of Jordon Hudson, Bill Belichick's girlfriend.
Bill Belichick
Is the 73-year-old former head coach of the New England Patriots.
Shut up, Redmond. Your is going to be running next. But run it again, Brady.
Winning 6 Super Bowls and is the current head coach of the University of North Carolina football team. 4 years ago, when Jordon Hudson was just 19 years old, she supposedly met Bill on an airplane ride to Palm Springs, Florida, and then started dating in 2023.
I said, what in the Anna Nicole Smith is going on here?
I remember back when the Cowboys was good. I remember back when the Chiefs was bad. Bill Belichick's girlfriend wasn't even born yet.
However, is Bill Belichick's 24-year-old girlfriend, Jordon Hudson, guilty of elder manipulation or abuse?
Thought it was elder abuse.
We're gonna break down her behavior, psychology, and the evidence. So now, let's get started.
Make sure that that's the
Jordon was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordon right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it.
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on.
That's a major red flag, and we're going to break that down. But when you hear the term elder abuse, what comes to mind?
Could I trouble you for a glass of warm milk? It helps put me to sleep.
You could trouble me for a warm glass of shut the hell up. Now you will go to sleep, or I will put you to sleep. You're in my world now, Grandma.
Oh, dear.
Right, maybe mistreatment in a nursing home?
The price is $200 per quilt. This is handmade quality shit we're talking here.
My fingers hurt.
Oh, well, now your back's gonna hurt because you just pulled landscaping duty.
However, elder abuse can also be psychological manipulation and exploitation by those who are younger. Psychologically, this type of abuse often involves gaining the elder's trust, identifying their emotional vulnerabilities, such as loneliness, recent loss, or cognitive slowing, and then subtly exerting control over them. At first, many of us just found their public and affectionate relationships strange, given their nearly 50-year age gap. However, during this CBS interview, things started to feel very off.
Not talking about this.
Bill showed no resistance and appeared to get controlled and directed by Jordon in that interview multiple times without any hesitation from her.
Make sure that that's the
Jordon was a constant presence during our interview.
This likely indicates that Bill feels very accustomed to Jordon directing and controlling him. Anyone who knows Bill Belichick knows that's very much unlike him.
If someone else is speaking for him, that never happens. He speaks for himself.
Shut up, Redmond. Your is going to be running next. But run it again, Brady.
Oh, you, Mason. Just you, will you? Just shut the up.
Hey, are you getting ready to buy another truck?
Hope we don't screw it up.
Go out and measure it.
It was right in his hands.
It was over his head.
Oh, that one.
If you want a timeout, just hit me.
Hard.
Then it was reported that she curiously amassed an $8 million real estate portfolio just months of meeting Bill.
She accumulated like $10 million of real estate.
She owns a bunch of companies in Massachusetts, several of them related to Bill Belichick. She also owns a bunch of trademarks that are adjacent to Bill Belichick.
In psychology, we often use the term baseline to understand how someone typically behaves and to identify deviations that may signal a problem.
Bill Belichick, blink twice if you okay.
Where you're a fisherman and she's a mermaid. There's another one where you're doing, I know you're not into meditation or yoga or Pilates. You're balancing Jordon on your feet and she's doing kind of the Titanic pose.
She's got him playing fisherman to her mermaid.
If a highly disciplined, independent, and guarded public figure like Bill Belichick suddenly begins acting passive, meek, and out of character, especially in the presence of a younger romantic partner,
Not talking about this. Make sure that that's the
Jordon was a constant presence during our interview.
There are reports that she actually interjected multiple times.
it raises serious questions about that partner.
This is a guy that is not a pushover. He has built his reputation on being like a gruff guy who needs everything particular and detail-oriented. It's just very strange to see.
This is because we may be witnessing a situation where she is cognitively manipulating him to get him to shift assets into her name.
Belichick family, y'all better look at the trust and the will and make sure something's not changing.
Belichick's friends shaking their heads about his relationship with Jordon. Quote, they're talking to him about her, but very gently because they know how deep in it he is.
As we age, changes in the brain, particularly in the prefrontal cortex, and our limbic system in our brain can make us more vulnerable to manipulation. Older adults may experience slower processing speeds, reduced working memory, and increased emotional decision-making. So people who are older sometimes and sadly end up making some poorer decisions. In particular, though, critical thinking and the ability to detect ulterior motives can decline, leaving older adults more susceptible to subtle forms of coercion. Loneliness, a desire to feel young, and flattery from someone who is decades younger, that's a perfect setup to manipulate, control, and exploit someone on every level. Those who are young and of the opposite sex are charming and magnetic to the elder partner.
She's a former cheerleader at Bridgewater State University.
And they can often position themselves as a companion or confidant to the struggling elder to exploit them, which is especially effective when they are either widowed or divorced and are thereby lonely. Bill surely feels young again around Jordon.
24-year-old Jordon Hudson, his creative muse, as he writes in his book.
Desired, admired, and perhaps emotionally reinvigorated. But that feeling can cloud judgment. They're often seeking money, but they may also be chasing power, relevance, or fame.
24-year-old girl wants a 74-year-old man. I mean, that's not what you're attracted to. To me, it's an obvious attempt to be with power and money,
which can easily be acquired when tethered to a well-known figure whose cognitive executive functioning may be diminishing. Clearly, Jordon has a personal interest to control the story of how she and Bill met.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
Additionally, she apparently doesn't have the confidence in Bill to tell the story of how they met in the way she wants it to be told.
Have said in the past they first met on a plane in 2021.
Wait, so is this story of them meeting on a plane actually a complete hoax?
After the interview, Hudson resharing this old post on her Instagram story.
She was not deflecting any specific question or topic. I'm sorry, Bill, but she was simply doing her job to ensure the interview stayed on track. Some of the clips made it appear as though we were avoiding the question of how we met, but we've been open about the fact that Jordon and I met on a flight to Palm Beach in 2021, suggested a false narrative that Jordon was attempting to control the conversation, which is simply not true.
In my years following Bill Belichick, roughly 0% chance he wrote that. My guess would be Jordon wrote that.
Totally.
The fact it is on the North Carolina website is insane.
If they actually innocently met on a plane ride, why not let Bill just say that?
She's so defensive about it. There's something more to the story. I don't know what it was. Was it only?
Therefore, it appears she's hiding something from us about how they met. Now imagine what the public outrage would be if the genders were reversed in this situation. A 73-year-old millionaire lady with a 24-year-old young man right out of college telling the elder lady what she can and cannot say during her media interview. Yes, the public outrage would be massive. And rightfully so. It's because we would immediately recognize it as manipulative, controlling, and likely predatory. Almost everyone would be questioning his motives, his influence, and whether he was isolating her to gain access to her wealth or status, and possibly to feel powerful by exerting control over someone who is far more respected, accomplished, and influential than himself. This type of relationship age gap dynamic is far more publicly accepted when the man is the older one. Society is used to seeing older men with much younger women, often brushing it off as normal or even expected. But just because that massive age gap is common doesn't mean it's not a red flag. A drastic age gap of nearly 50 years like this, especially when one partner is significantly more powerful, wealthy, or vulnerable due to age, should always make us pause and ask, who is really benefiting from this relationship and who's possibly being used here.
Fight started unfolding online. This is via the Daily Mail, involving Belichick's daughter-in-law. She's married to his son. Publicists act in a professional manner and do not storm off set delaying an interview.
A common error many make is that the people who prey on the elderly are simply just after their money. However, there's much more to it. Psychologically, those predatory individuals gain a deep sense of validation and self-worth by dominating a powerful person.
Make sure that that's the
Jordon was a constant presence during our interview.
Not talking about this.
Hudson's signature listing her as COO of Belichick Productions.
She has to be copied on all of his emails.
The show decided against profiling the Tar Heel football program because of concerns of Hudson's involvement.
This allows them to bypass the hard work of earning their own achievements and instead borrow significance through association and control of a powerful person. It becomes a shortcut to feeling important, because if they can manipulate someone others admire, it feeds their ego and gives them a distorted sense of superiority. In this way, the relationship isn't about love or respect, it's about power, control, and ego inflation. And when it's the underlying dynamic, like it may be here, it's not a relationship. It's exploitation. We don't know for sure if that's what she's doing, but so far it seems to be pointing that way. This is because she's apparently amassing financial assets that may be his, subtly steering public narratives and demonstrating behavioral control over Bill, despite being decades younger and far less accomplished. These are classic red flags of psychological manipulation and financial exploitation, especially as we notice how Bill is clearly deviating from his psychological and behavioral baseline and seems to be losing autonomy in key areas of his life, such as during media interviews and even on his football field,
including at UNC football practices.
This woman, Jordan, is like on the field during practices with the Tar Heels.
It's her world, and Bill is just living in it.
To Jordon Hudson, if you really love Bill and are not trying to exploit him, take a back seat. Be supportive and live your own life. However, based on what we've seen so far, as they say on The Bachelor,
she's not here for the right reasons.
Now in the comments, what do you think of Jordon Hudson dating Bill Belichick? Do you think she loves him? Do you think maybe she just finds him extremely physically attractive? Do you think she just wants to take as much money from him and run? Or maybe just to feel powerful, famous, and in control? Let everyone know in the comments below. Subscribe for more. 2 NFL related videos in a row. I promise you, next video I do won't be on the NFL. See you next time.